Sufi Yoga. Today, friends, we are going to talk about the yoga of Islam, namely its main direction of Sufism. Islam accepted from God the mission of establishing on the earth the true monotheism, and one of the most important formulas for meditation. Allah Akbar, God is great. These two factors led reasonable people who accepted the concept of Islam to the search for and personal studying of the greatness of God. This was aided by the desert landscape, the expanse of the Arab deserts, and other areas in this region where Islam originated. Were highly favorable for this. It is the landscape expanses that induce spiritual seekers to expand with the souls transformed into the spiritual heart. Embrace them with their love. Embrace them as well as their Creator with their love. Yet, in order to come from the state of an ordinary person to the state of spiritual seeker, who can cognize successfully the greatness of the Creator, one has to possess the methods of spiritual development. Nothing will work without these methods. And among people who accepted Islam sincerely, there were those evolutionary, advanced seekers of God, to whom God gifted such methods. In this way, Sufi schools were established. And the religious movement called Sufism was born. The word Sufism originates from the Arabic root Sufi, meaning pure, pure souls. But let me warn you that one has to regard very critically people who today call themselves Sufis. Not many of them possess the purity of thoughts and knowledge. It is known that some organizations of drug addicts can call themselves Sufis. And sometimes fools with aggressive qualities proclaim themselves Sufi sheikhs. That is, spiritual teachers, leaders, forming in this way criminal gangs. Such facts actually took place in history. But now, let us talk about true Sufism. First of all, about how true Sufism is understood by its founder, divine Sufi Grand Master, we had many valuable contacts and conversations with him and his divine disciples. Let me give now some excerpts from conversations with them, dedicated specifically to the methodology of spiritual improvement, how it has been forming and has been formed precisely in the true Sufism that came from God and exists for God. Conversations with the Sufi Grand Master. He told us, I recognized Allah and became his integral part. In that sense, I am Allah. My path is the path of the heart. Allah taught it to me. I accepted this path and under Allah's guidance developed it and imparted it to others. The path of the heart, we are talking about the spiritual heart, not about the physical one, implies embracing the principles of love and quietness. He taught me to listen to the quietness. First, one has to learn listening to the sounds around. The sound of the wind, the lapping of waves, the calls of birds, the crackle of a fire. After that, one can start listening to the quietness. I came to know that all various sounds are local and transient, while the quietness is omnipresent and eternal. Beneath all sounds existing in the universe, the great quietness spreads infinitely. For hours, I could listen to the sounds of the world, beautiful and diverse, and then I would release myself and sink into it, into the quietness. There, I could see the clear transparency of the quietness, hear its silence. I could freely and easily swim in it, submerge to the very depths of it. Gradually, the great quietness became my home. From there, I saw that all sounds of the world are as if created by the great quietness. I saw how its breathing fills from within all forms of life, and they sound as a well-trained choir of various musical instruments. Like flowers, sounds unfold for a moment in the eternity of the great quietness. We asked Grand Master, why did you listen to the world? Were you born blind? This, of course, would be a beautiful version, but no, I was sighted. Someone is born a painter, someone is born a musician, someone sees and someone hears the world. I hear it. By the way, for beginners, it is more beneficial to listen to the space around. By listening, you can embrace a much larger volume of space. You can even hear that which you cannot see. One who has learned to listen can become the master of quietness. The quietness gives you calm. The peculiar feature of the quietness is that it gets filled with you. The quietness, as a result of studying and cognizing it, becomes filled with you and with God. Allah suggests cognizing Him through this method. We told him, but you have missed an essential point. One has to listen to the quietness, not with the ears which are on the head, but with the hearing of the spiritual heart. Yes, you understand it correctly, but I told about this at the beginning of my story. Indeed, I developed the Anahata earlier, before the incarnation among Arabs. And earlier yet, I was one of the first Christians, Hesychasts. It is then that I learned to listen to the quietness. Moreover, by the time of incarnating among Arabs, I was a sufficiently developed soul, and thus I could choose where to incarnate. I became not a nomad who breeds cattle, but placed myself in an oasis. Peach trees among date palms, wheat fields, and an abundance of other boons. All this provided me with adequate nourishment, and this is an essential condition for one's being able to retain and develop further the best qualities of the soul. Every one of you knows this very well. Formerly, your master received this information from me. Thus, I began my service on the Arabian Peninsula, among the deserts of Arabia. I had to create one more spiritual hearth on the earth. He was telling me, enter into me, submerge in the ocean of my light deeper. That what you feel now is but my surface. Go deeper into me, and, full of reverence, I submerged into him, and he embraced me from all sides. We merged together. I was in him, and he was in me. We were one. O Allah, O my Lord, how can it be that I am merging with you, yet I do not burn from the love which overfills me? How can it be that I submerge my arms into your depths to embrace you? How can it be that I see your light with the eyes of the soul, and yet I remain alive? I was asking him in the ecstasy of love. Allah replied, you know now very well that I exist, and I love you. And you, who loves me, I let into my depths. I live in him, and he lives in me. Since that moment, I did nothing without him. He was in me. He manifested himself in everything around. He filled everything with himself. I started to teach people and to create methods that would allow one to become closer to him, to recognize him. I did it by combining all the best that I had learned in the course of my life. They were the methods of the straight path, which were shown by him. I had disciples striving for the cognition of the Supreme. The teachings became known to more and more people. We asked, tell us, please, how did you teach your disciples to work with the chakras? The methods of this work are well known to you, but it makes sense to tell about them once again, because there is a great confusion in the minds of people about this matter. In total, there are 7 chakras. The chakras of a successfully evolving person, healthy and harmonious, are developed and full of pure energy. In weak or sick people, or in those indulging in vices, the chakras can be undeveloped, or, if developed, full of coarse, dark energy. It is designed by Allah that the chakras are a part of the human organism. In the chakras, in particular, emotions are born. They are regulators of the activity of the consciousness inside the body. The chakras are also passages to the depths of the multidimensional universe. But in order to enter these subtle worlds, one has to develop the chakras, cleanse them, and fill them with pure, subtle light. Yet such work can be done provided one observes killing-free nutrition and actively works on the ethical transformation of oneself. The main one of all the chakras is the Anahata. It is from this chakra that one has to start developing oneself as a consciousness. The light of Allah enters souls of people only through the cleansed and developed chakras. There are only 7 notes, yet there is no measure to the number of beautiful musical compositions. There are only 7 chakras, but what a wealth of various subtlest states of the consciousness the light of Allah can give us when it enters the chakras. Allah, as a great musician, can play the divine melody of love on this instrument created by him on the human organism. Yet, this divine melody can sound only if the instrument functions properly. All this I have already had the honor to show you, all over the past years, when I took part in the work of our joint school, the school of Allah, the school of the Creator. And now your knowledge, through your bodies, I am spreading throughout the earth. Conversations with Sulia. Now, let's move on to conversations with Sulia. We asked her to tell us about herself. She began her story. I was a Grand Master's disciple. Allah gave me a male body in that incarnation, and I devoted myself completely to the apprenticeship, to cognition of beloved Allah. Grand Master is a true master. Learning from him was the greatest happiness. At the age of 23, Allah called me into him, and the vacation time came, the time of rest from earthly life. During the vacation, I was writing works on the fundamentals of Islam through several embodied disciples. These works exist to the present day in the libraries of Kazakhstan. My next incarnation, the last one, was in the 18th century in Kazakhstan. I was guided again by my Grand Master. He conveyed the will of Allah through my body. And now, after returning finally to the abode of the Beloved, I continue working in Kazakhstan, in that part of it where there are museums, archives, and scientists who study Islam. But the meat-based nutrition results in the dullness and inertia of minds. The consciousness loses its agility. Meat eating is an affliction of the contemporary Islam. It is extremely important to spread our knowledge among the youth. As the youth grow, one may try to clean up in these people the eye of Allah. One has to connect a human soul with Allah. And this makes the eye of Allah. Then Allah manifests himself through such a soul. And a spiritual oasis forms around it. Love, kindled in hearts, has to direct minds to searching for the Creator. We asked, Sulia, will you please tell us, how do you experience yourself? Who am I, Sulia? I experience only the greatness of Allah, His infinite, transparent calm. And when he looks at the creation, divine goldish streams run from the depths, streams of various hues and sounds. One of them sounds with the name Sulia. Learn to experience yourselves so in Mahadabos. Learn to be blissful. I feel unceasing bliss. Allah is inside me and around. At any moment, I can make a step backward and dissolve in a primordial calm. Or to make a step forward. And again, Sulia, as a goldish wave, brings the love and will of Allah to the creation. In order to attain this, one has to leave the islet of the body and move to the ocean of Allah to live there. When the body does not carry the burden of the I, Allah can live in it. One has to impregnate the body with the bliss of the Creator's abode, and then to dissolve, to disappear. Allah enters from within, and one dissolves in him. To accomplish this, one has to rid the consciousness of everything that is not love. Only love is capable of dissolution. But many night moths fly to the flame of a candle, yet one should not allow them to come too close. The fire can burn them. It is the same with the fire of Allah. It is not for little souls. Only one can approach this fire who already has this fire burning in him or her. Listen. I will whisper to you flaming words, and you, listening to me, attune yourself to the rhythm of the great whole, to the breathing of his beingness, so that the nectar of the divine love be not spilled, and the phrases do not break up into separate words and momentary thoughts, so that the soul become filled with sounding and meaning of the truth, and your heart unite with the life of the primordial, whose name is Allah. The fire of passion cannot burn the soul kindled with love for Allah. The whirlpools of life cannot seize the soul, moving to the primordial ocean. In the desert, the source of life will create an oasis, which will emanate fragrance, will send forth life-giving currents of love, will bloom and give fruits. In the fire of the spiritual hearts, human souls become naked. In the purity of love, the souls appear before their beloved, and for them there is nothing but the beloved. Such souls are always before him. Their hands caress him, and they do not take their eyes off him. The only light for them is the light of his love. His light makes their eyes shine. His words of love flow through their mouths. The hearts unite, and there remains nothing but him. He fills with unspeakable bliss those who became one in him. The life of every one of you has to be full of me. You have to fill your lives with me more and more fully. Where I appear, grief and destruction go away. As I am gradually superseding all remnants of everything earthly and perishable in your lives, they will be becoming one whole with my life. Listen, O great, O eternal, O infinite one, the waves of your love are so soft and tender. Everything is permeated with your primordial purity. There is no place where you are not. The waves of your love are everywhere. They carry this world manifested by you, as on the fingertips of your countless hands. I merge with you. Now, my beloved, there is nothing but you. Feel yourselves not bodies, but love, which flows and expands around. Give to everyone the light of Allah. Rejoice at my love, conversing with us constantly. Become like us, ethically pure and wise. Do not react to the disturbing factors of the surroundings. I can suggest to you the following meditation. My only one, I am in love with you. I am in love with blossoming fields. I am in love with the shining of the sun. I am in love with the spring gardens. My beloved, your cover is so beautiful. The tender murmur of brooks, the gentle calm of the forest, the infinite sky above. I am in love with you. You are everywhere. I am in love with the fragrant flowers, with sunrise over glassy waters, with translucent rivers and lakes. O my beloved, I see only you, in the smile of the morning and in the languor of the day, in the coolness of the evening and in the quietness of the night. I see only you, my beloved. Let me in and dissolve me. Allow me to become a part of your love. Allow me to know your blissful calm. Allow me to become one with you forever. Conversations with Divine Imam. Further, I'm going to read excerpts from Conversations with the Divine Imam. Allah is one. There is no God but Allah. All we in Him are one. This is clear enough for you, but many other people have to wait. They have not gained this understanding yet. We asked, how should we call you? The only name is the name of Allah. We asked, tell us please how you developed to the state of Allah. I do not remember it, do not know it, and do not want to know it. I came to know the oneness with Allah and dropped the rest from my memory. It was not of value for me any longer. Tell us, at least, where did you incarnate last time? In Persia, in the land of modern Iran, at the time of the last Padishah. I served in a mosque as an imam. At that time, around that mosque, an oasis bloomed. People came there to touch me. But I did not develop myself at that time. I had another status already, the status of Allah. And I represented the Creator for people. What would you say to beginners? I would like to tell them about Sufism. Many understand Sufism as one of numerous religious doctrines with its own set of rules, dogmas, directions. Yet, Sufism is not a dead set of rules. Sufism is life, a way of life based on love. Therefore, any person, regardless of the confession, a Christian or a Buddhist, can be called Sufi if his or her heart, full of love, longs for me and wants to embrace the entire world with love. To be a Sufi means to live by the beauty of God. Wherever the heart of a Sufi turns, there it should see the beauty of the beloved, invisible to the ordinary eye. The whole world is pervaded with his beauty, which is perceivable only to the eyes of a loving heart. Now, who can become a Sufi? Is it possible only for people living in the East? And who is a Sufi anyway? Is it he who just proclaimed himself so? Or the one who was attached to a certain tradition and wears special clothes? One can become a Sufi independent of in what corner of the earth he or she was born or lives now. A true Sufi is the one who does not take the eyes of the loving heart off the beauty of the beloved,
от красоты возлюбленного. Кто живет этой
the
красотой?
one who lives by this beauty.
Мы попросили,
We asked,
расскажи, пожалуйста, о себе.
tell us please about yourself.
Он начал рассказ.
He started telling us,
Мой путь – это
my path
растворение
is the
себя
path of
в
dissolution
Аллахе.
of oneself in Allah.
Я есть великая
I
тишина,
am the great
Аллаха.
silence of Allah,
в которой звучат
filled
струны
with the sounds
всех
of strings
вошедших в Аллаха.
of the souls who merged into Allah.
Совместитесь со мною
Blend with me
полностью.
completely
Пусть сквозь твое тело льется
and let the flow of
поток
Allah
Аллаха.
stream through your body.
Самадхи
Samadhi
– это когда Аллах входит в
is the
твое
state
духовное
when
сердце
Allah
внутри твоего
enters
тела.
your spiritual heart inside your body.
Нирвана – это
Nirvana
когда ты можешь
is when you can
погрузиться в
submerge
сердце
into the heart of the
Абсолюта
Absolute
и раствориться в нем.
and dissolve in it.
Тогда остается только Аллах.
And then only Allah remains.
Нащупай соединение этих двух
Discover
состояний,
the connectedness of these states,
то есть самадхи и нирваны.
that is, Samadhi with Nirvana,
И поднимись из глубин
and rise from the depths
в тело,
to the body,
заполняя его
filling it
светом
with the
Аллаха.
light of Allah.
Пусть будет только Аллах.
Let it be only the light of Allah everywhere, even inside your body. Conversations with Karas.
Итак, немного из
So,
бесед с Карасом.
now some excerpts from conversations with
Я хотел
Karas.
бы сказать о великом учителе,
I want to say about my great
божественном
teacher,
имаме.
about divine Imam.
Это был чудесный дар
It was a miraculous
Аллаха
gift of
увидеть
Allah
его,
to see him
который воплотился.
incarnated in a body.
Любовь к тому, который стал
Love for
одно
him
с Аллахом,
who became one with Allah
не знает пределов и не имеет границ.
has neither borders nor limits.
Я видел проявление
I witnessed
Аллаха
the
на земле.
manifestation of Allah on the earth.
Я видел Сына,
I saw a son of the One.
надевшего плоть, но не
He wore
ставшего
flesh,
плотью.
but did not become this flesh.
Я знал теперь, что
I knew
возлюбленный
then
Господь,
that the beloved Lord can be attained,
что возможно растворение во всемогущем.
that one can dissolve in the Almighty.
Ибо видел это
I saw this
явленное
manifested
через учителя.
through the teacher.
Стоило ему коснуться сердца,
It was enough for him
устремленного к
to
Аллаху,
touch a heart aspiring to
и оно
Allah,
вспыхивало,
and it flamed up
подобно маслу
like
в
oil
лампе,
in a lamp,
огнем,
with fire radiating
излучающим свет
the light
любви.
of love.
Он учил
He taught,
сердце,
a heart
заполненное любовью,
filled with love
не имеет дна,
is fathomless,
и предлагал погружаться
and
в
invited
его
to
собственную
submerge into his own
бездонность.
fathomlessness. Conversations with Haji Bey Murad.
Мы впервые
For the first time,
познакомились с ним, увидели
we
его
saw his Mahadabal
над холмом, поросшим
over a hill overgrown,
высокими
with
пушистыми
low, fluffy
длинными
pines,
иголками,
with long needles.
сосенками. На поляне на вершине этого холма
We communicated
был
with Haji Bey Murad
Хаджибе Мурата.
in the glade of this hill.
Отличительная черта его была в том,
One of
что
his distinctive
он весь
traits
светился яркой
is that he
молодостью.
shines with youthful brightness and purity.
Можно было дать ему
You could give him
лет
about
20.
20 years.
И мы спросили у него,
We asked him,
такое впечатление, что ты
it seems
воплотился в
that your last
последний раз
incarnation
столь
ended
молодым.
when you were that young.
Как ты закончил свое воплощение?
How did you end that incarnation?
Он ответил, взлетел на небеса,
I soared into heaven.
дематериализовал тело
You dematerialized the
без
body
остатка.
completely.
Тут к разговору
Divine
присоединилась
Lada
божественная Лада,
joins the conversation,
тоже один из представителей
also
Творца.
one of the representatives of the Creator.
Она сказала,
She said,
вознесение
the
было таким,
ascension was as
тело
follows.
взлетело и
The body
растворилось.
soared up and dissolved.
На этом месте стоял его ашрам.
There was his ashram on this place.
Это Лада продолжает говорить.
This is Lada continued.
Суфийские учителя собирались со
Sufi
всей
teachers
округи,
would gather here from the neighborhood,
и затем они посвящали
and then
и
they would
своих
initiate murids,
учеников
students,
в тайны золотого цветка.
into the mysteries of the golden flower.
Дальше продолжал разговор Хаджибей Мурат,
Haji
указывая
Bey
на
Murad
других
pointed
невоплощенных
at other non-incarnate great souls
Посмотрите
and
на наших
continued,
детей.
look at our
Это
children.
ученики суфийских шейхов,
They are Sufi sheikhs,
которые собирались
disciples
здесь и
who gathered
слушали
here
проповеди.
and listened to the preachings.
Среди них присутствовала всегда
Non-incarnate
и
Lada was
невоплощенная
also
Лада.
always present among them.
Мы просим,
We asked,
расскажи о себе,
tell us please
о
about
твоем
yourself,
пути к Аллаху.
about your path to Allah.
Мурат ответил.
Murad replied,
Мальчик Мурат
the
родился
boy
очень
Murat was
счастливым.
born very joyful and
Он
happy.
родился как тот, кто уже
He was born as the one
ощущал
who
присутствие
could
Аллаха.
feel the presence of Allah.
Он пришел на землю, зная,
He came
что
to the
Бог
earth
во
knowing
всем
that
и
God
везде,
is in everything,
всегда любящий,
that He is loving
вездесущий,
and omnipresent,
всемогущий,
caressing and
ласкающий.
omnipotent.
Истинный ислам
The true Islam
способствует пониманию этого.
helps one to understand this,
Да и любое истинное знание
and
тоже
any
приводит
true
к тому,
spiritual knowledge
что истина
also
это Бог.
brings one to the understanding that truth is God.
Я начал ту свою земную жизнь
I
с
began that
ощущения
earthly
этой
life of mine with
и
experiencing this
закончил ее
truth,
слиянием.
and I ended it with mergence.
Я жил в блаженстве от ощущения
I lived in the bliss
постоянного
of feeling the
присутствия.
constant presence of Allah.
Я был счастлив, видя
I was
плавное
happy to see
течение
the smooth flow of his river,
колыхание ветвей от дыхания,
branches swaying from the breathing of his wind,
плеск волн его.
the splash of waves of his sea.
Я пил блаженный нектар и
I
вкушал
drank his
его
blissful nectar
блаженные
and
дары.
partook of his blissful gifts.
Все, что приносит Суфию река
Everything
судьбы,
that the river of destiny brings to a Sufi
это есть его разговор с Богом,
is Sufi's talk with God.
учеба у него.
Sufis learning from God.
Суфи с радостью приемлет
The
все,
Sufi gladly
что
accepts
посылает ему
everything
Господь.
sent by God.
Его жизнь — это общение с
Sufi's
Аллахом
life
через
is
все, что он
communication
получает
with
от
Allah
своего любимого.
through everything that the Sufi receives from the Beloved.
Он принимает это все как
The
дар.
Sufi receives everything as a gift.
Это его учеба.
It is Sufi's learning.
Это его блаженство.
It is Sufi's bliss.
Это его
It
песня
is Sufi's
благодарения.
song of thanksgiving.
Ответ своей любовью на любовь
Sufi's
Создателя.
reply with love to the love of the Creator.
И все, что исходит из уст
Everything that
суфия,
comes out
это его
from the Sufi's
гимн
mouth
вечности и
is a hymn
красоте
to the
Аллаха.
eternity and beauty of Allah.
Это благоухающий
It is the
нектар
fragrant
любви,
nectar of love,
который или принимает
which either
форму
accepts the
слов
form of words or music,
или застывает в безмолвии
or becomes
линий
silent
и
lines
форм,
and forms,
оставляя тем, кто
and leaves guiding lights to those who walk the path of Allah.
путеводные огни. А идущие
And those walking
прикасаются к этим
can
огням
touch these lights
и воспламеняются
and
всё
become
большей
burning
любовью,
with more love,
обретают
and
силу
gain
и
power
уверенность,
and
чтобы
confidence
преодолеть
needed
тяготы
to
жизни.
overcome the difficulties of the path.
Спрашиваем,
We asked,
как ты учился?
how did you learn?
Кто был твоим учителем?
Who was your teacher?
Только Аллах.
Murat answered,
Я
only
пришел в
Allah.
последнюю земную жизнь,
I came to the last
будучи
earthly
открытым к
life,
восприятию напрямую
being open to perceiving His love
Его
and power
любви
directly.
и силы. Мне не были нужны
I did not need
посредники, которые наставляли бы
intermediates,
в религиозных
which
догмах.
instruct people on religious dogmas and rituals.
Явен был для меня Господин всего,
The Lord of everything was with me.
и я воспринимал Его
I saw His
присутствие
presence
в
in the
проявленном
manifest
и
and in
непроявленном,
the
в
non-manifest,
людях, которых
in
встречал
people
на
that I
пути,
met on the path,
во всем, что даровала
in everything
щедрая рука Его.
that His generous hand gave me.
Я не делил
I
даруемое
did not
на
divide
плохое
these
и
gifts
хорошее,
into good and bad ones,
ибо не дарит Аллах
because Allah
того,
does not give
что
gifts
не должно
which
быть
one
получено.
should not receive.
Я благодарил Его за каждый
I
Его
thanked
дар,
Him for every such gift,
каждая встреча, каждый
every
поворот
meeting,
судьбы,
every turn of my life,
каждый день и каждая минута,
every day and every minute,
каждый глоток воды, каждый
every drink
вдох,
of water,
это был
and
Его
every breath
дар.
of air was His gift.
Я благодарил.
I thanked Him,
И этот наш разговор
and this conversation of ours was beautiful.
Что может омрачить твою жизнь с Создателем,
What can spoil your life with the Creator,
кроме твоей неблагодарности за
but your
Его
ingratitude
дар?
for His gifts?
Каждая минута жизни твоей
Every minute of your life
это послание Бога тебе
is a message of God to you,
и твой ответ Богу.
and your response to God.
Каждое мгновение можешь ты читать
You can read every
как
moment
Коран,
as you read the Quran,
ибо все это и есть книга бытия,
because everything is the book
и
of
Он
beingness,
учит тебя ее читать.
and He teaches you how to read it.
И когда ты научишься читать,
When you have learned to read it,
то будешь испытывать только блаженство
you will
Его
experience
любви.
only the bliss of His love,
И когда ты станешь затем говорить,
and when you talk then,
это будет песня благодарения
it will
Творцу.
be your song of thanksgiving to the Creator,
И песни птиц,
songs of
и
birds,
плоды
fruits you
вкушаемые,
partake,
И каждый встречный человек
and every person you meet
– это есть дар Аллаха.
is a gift of Allah to you.
Это есть бесценный
This
опыт
is an
души.
invaluable experience of the soul.
Это разговор
This is your talk
с
with the
Создателем.
Creator.
Я так и жил.
It is in this
Смотрел
way
и слушал
that I
жизнь.
lived. I looked
И
and
наполнялся
listened to life,
блаженством Его присутствия.
and I got filled with the bliss of His
Независимо от
presence,
того, сладок или горек,
independent of whether sweet or bitter was the fruit I partook of.
в итоге научился слышать
As a
ритм
result,
и
I
мелодию
learned to hear the
Аллаха
rhythm and melody
и
of
говорить
Allah
с другими душами
and
на
to
Его
talk to other
языке.
souls in Allah's language.
И это мастерство, которое Он
Allah
даровал,
gave me this mastery,
позволило начать
and it allowed me
обучение
to
тех,
begin teaching
кого
people
Он
whom He
приводил.
brought to me.
Мы попросили Его:
We asked,
расскажи, Хаджибей Мурат, как ты учил.
"How did you teach?"
Ведь нужно
It
научить
is not an
человека
easy matter
ощущать Бога.
to teach man to feel God.
Он отвечал: да, вначале для этого
Yes,
нужно светом
for this
любви
purpose,
отмыть сосуд
one first has to
тела
wash the vessel of man's body,
человеческого,
where the soul lives,
в котором живет душа.
to wash it with the light of love,
И тогда все просто.
and everything becomes easy then.
И он стал показывать, Хаджибей Мурат стал показывать
Murat
тело
started to show the
человека,
body of man.
срединный меридиан которого
Its middle
напоминает
meridian
прозрачный
resembles a
пустынь
transparent pitcher without
без
bottom,
дна. Который нужно отмыть
which has to be
изнутри.
washed inside.
И потоки
He showed streams
живого света,
of living light,
света Аллаха, свободно должны
that flowed freely
протекать
through this
сквозь эту
form
форму.
and washed it.
И в результате
As a result of such meditative exercises,
медитативных упражнений, приемов, тело человека становится светильником.
human body began to shine with light.
Через него
Through such a person,
Творец
the Creator
делает свой свет явленным,
manifests His light,
явным для
making it
воплощенных
evident,
людей.
perceivable, for incarnated people.
И Мурат продолжал.
Murat continued,
Вот примерно так я и учил.
"This is how I taught.
Но главные
Yet the main
любовь и
things are
благодарность
love
Творцу
and thanksgiving to the Creator.
это те, которые
They compose the soul's song.
помогают песнь души. Я учил, как
I
принять
taught
Бога
how
в
to
свою
accept
жизнь,
God in one's
давал
life.
ощутить
I helped
Его
my disciples to
присутствие
feel
в
His
каждой
presence
минуте.
in every moment of their lives.
А дальше уже
And
Аллах
then
играл на
Allah began to play the instruments of
а я
souls,
лишь подстраивал
while I
звучание
just
этих
tuned
инструментов.
the sounds of these instruments.
Но как ты дематериализовал
How
свое
did you
тело?
dematerialize your
Ты
body?
учился этому?
Did you learn this ability?
Он ответил:
He
мне
answered,
хотелось полноты,
I wanted to achieve the fullness of unity,
и Аллах ответил взаимно.
and Allah responded to this desire.
Ведь ведомый Аллаху каждая
Allah
мысль,
knows your
каждое
every
желание
thought,
души
your
человека.
every desire.
И он наполняет их силой
And He fills them
тогда, когда
with power
желание его совпадает с
only
желанием
if
твоим.
His desire is one with yours.
Сие является следствием единения.
This results from unity. If you are suffused with Allah's will, then everything you wanted or thought becomes filled with His power for realization. And your desires become fulfilled. And when there remains only the last desire for the great reunification, then let it be. In this way I left the body. Those who pray do not know the love of Allah, but those knowing the love of Allah praise Him. And nothing can spoil the bliss of those who know Allah. Even a jail does not bind them. Even those exerting violence do not constrain them. The earthly life of such people is a dialogue with Allah, and when it comes to an end, they make only one step that separates them from the whole. When the earthly song of love for Allah is completed, they play the final chord, and the music of the souls merge forever into the melody of Allah's beingness. And then they help other seekers to tune the strings of their hearts,
настраивать струны сердец и творить новые песни хвалы Аллаху.
And to create new songs of praise to Allah.